Butler. Knock, knock.
Who's there?
Why are you acting? Who's there? Just right now you answer the door. Who's there? Not everything is a performance, man. Knock, knock. Knock, knock.
Who's there?
What lies?
What lies who?
What lies beneath?
Ladies and gentlemen, please notice that exits are conveniently located at the front and rear of this auditorium. When leaving the theater, we suggest that the exit at the front of the auditorium will allow you easier access to the parking areas. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Mike Butler.
And I'm still Mike Field.
And you're listening to Forgotten Cinema. Each episode, we highlight a film that, for a variety of reasons, was forgotten by audiences. Whether it be because a more popular movie was released at the same time, or the film simply didn't catch on with an audience in its initial run. We'll discuss what we love about the movie, or maybe don't love about it, but we'll always recommend you revisit it. You never know, you might find your own forgotten gem. If you enjoy Forgotten Cinema, we want to hear from you. We're on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok. We're available on all platforms with a backlog of over 200 episodes for your listening and viewing pleasure.
Well, I mean, not all 200 are viewing.
Not all 200 are viewing.
Right. But hey, how you doing?
I'm doing all right, except that, my husband has been having an affair with a student and didn't know about it, and then he killed her and didn't tell me about it. So now the ghost is haunting me instead of haunting him, and the ghost could easily have hurt him, but instead chooses to go on this cockamamie chase to find out who she is. And I'm just really stressed out, and I almost got murdered, but it's okay.
I don't like your attitude. Your attitude to start this episode is already off.
Oh, you're already off.
I don't even like this. I don't even like this. That's right. We are doing What Lies Beneath, Butler's most hated film on the list, right?
Yeah, it might be.
All right, so let's get into the facts, and then Mike and I will fight. And I guess we'll have some fun. Yeah. All right. Okay. We all know that Butler hates when we fight because he's like, you always win and you won't give up, right? I'm joking. What Lies Beneath? That's a runtime of 130 minutes. Rated PG-13. Production budget of $100 million. Release date was Friday, July 21st, 2000. So a big time summer film. Opening weekend, it did $30 million. Domestic, $155 million. International, $136 million, for a worldwide total of $291 million. So I guess you would consider this a hit, right? Yeah. Production company was DreamWorks Pictures, 20th Century Fox, and Image Movers, and it was distributed by DreamWorks Pictures in North America and 20th Century Fox internationally. Said it came out on the 21st of July. Let's go back to July 14th. For a wide release of X-Men, the first X-Men, the Bryan Singer X-Men. So clearly that was a huge, huge movie, which we'll get into later on with some of our facts. The 21st and a wide release went up against this film was Pokemon, the movie 2000, Loser and the In Crowd, and then a re-release of Rafifi. Have you ever seen Rafifi?
No, I've heard the name, but I have no idea what
Rafifi's claim to fame is they have there's a heist scene. There's a robbery scene in the movie. And it's a good 40, 45 minutes. No dialogue. It's it's a black and white film. It's from, I don't know when it's from. Maybe the 40s. I'm not sure. Probably maybe later 50s. I don't know. But anyways, that's its big claim to fame. Like that. It's a good movie, but that scene is really good. Okay. So I would recommend it if you're ever in the mood. It's a foreign film, so you do our subtitles, Butler.
I mean, not for 45 minutes.
Correct. The Wednesday, though, so the 26th, the Wednesday after this film came out, you had a wide release of Thomas and the Magic Railroad. That's the one where Alec Baldwin is the conductor. I don't know if you remember Thomas and the Magic Railroad. It was a big hit in this house for Dexter. And then the 28th, the week after the Friday of July, you had The Nutty Professor 2, The Clumps. So, yeah, there you go. But, I mean, say what you want about, we always talk about this in the show, even though maybe you might not have liked Nutty Professor 2, The Clumps. The first film was so huge, popular, that the second one it's gonna be a big time opening. So yeah, this film is directed by Robert Zemeckis. He has won an Oscar for Forrest Gump. He also was nominated for an Oscar for Back to the Future for writing, and he did the movie Contact. This is a screenplay story by Clark Gregg. He's written Choke, Trust Me, and you might know him from in the MCU as Agent Phil Coulson. That's where everyone kind of knows him from. Story was Sarah Kernochan. I gotta really learn how to say these names. She has written 9.5 Weeks, Summersby, and she is a 2-time Oscar winner for a documentary short subject. Cinematographer was Don Burgess, who's nominated for an Oscar for Forrest Gump. He also did Spider-Man, the Sam Raimi Spider-Man, and 13 Going on 30. Composer was Alan Silvestri. He's nominated for Forrest Gump and The Polar Express. He's also obviously done a lot of other films. Edited by Arthur Schmidt, who has won 2 Oscars, nominated for 3. He won for Forrest Gump, Who Framed Roger Rabbit, and he was nominated for Coal Miner's Daughter. And then you had producer was Jack Rapke, Steve Starkey, and Zemeckis. Zemeckis has produced House on Haunted Hill. He was an executive producer on the like the Demon Knight movie and Bordello, but Tales from the Crypt films. Starkey did Forrest Gump, which obviously he won the Oscar for because he won Best Picture. He also did Mars Needs Moms, and Jack Rapke has done Monster House, which was an episode we did in season 1 or 2.
2. That was one of our first Halloween episodes.
It was also one of our first kind of pseudo short film commercials because it was you in the theater talking about Monster House. Remember that?
Yeah. Yep.
That's an old one.
The Shadow was technically our first, which was me just talking. Hey, check out this episode this week. Yeah, The Shadow.
No, I thought the first one was Fright Night.
Oh, the first like real short we did. Yeah, but I'm talking about in terms of like pseudo commercial. The first one was The Shadow.
Okay.
Where we did the Shadow puppet.
Oh, I don't even know where that is. I don't even know if we have that out anywhere.
I think it's somewhere.
I don't think it's on our YouTube.
It's probably still on our social media though.
Maybe. So if you're looking, we do shorts. We do little sketches. We used to call them commercials. We're trying to rebrand them for short films. That's me and Mike acting and goofing off and having fun. And some of them are really good. Some of them are okay. I mean, we admit that they're not,
some of them suck.
They're content. Okay. It's content. You want content? You get content. You want your bread up? Dig them up. Sorry. That's an SNL reference. So they're all on our YouTube if you're ever interested in see the other stuff that we do. And we are obviously doing them for our newer season. So we just actually shot one today.
We did.
That was we're sweating a lot. So hopefully you like it. All right. This film stars Michelle Pfeiffer as Claire Spencer. She's nominated for 3 Oscars: Love Field, The Fabulous Baker Boys, and Dangerous Liaisons. Harrison Ford, her husband, is plays by his role as Norman. His role as Norman Spencer. I mean, you know who Harrison Ford is, right? I mean, did you know he was nominated for an Oscar? Did you know what movie? Mike? We did it. He disarmed a man with his
Witness.
finger. Witness?
Yeah.
He also was in, obviously, The Fugitive, which Butler and I had a long conversation
We were just talking about that.
And then in one of his first films, American Graffiti. I purposely have not mentioned the more popular films because I'm sure you already know what films he's been in. Catherine Town as Caitlin Spencer. I don't even know why. She's in the movie for like not even a minute. She plays a daughter. They take her off to college and then never
see her again.
She's in Evolution, Mulholland Drive, and But I'm a Cheerleader. Miranda Otto as Mary Fuhrer. She is the neighbor of the Spencers. She's in the Lord of the Rings series, War of the Worlds, then Red Line, the War of the Worlds Spielberg film. James Remar as Warren Fuhrer, who is her husband. He's obviously the father in a TV show, Dexter. He's also in Django Unchained and the upcoming TV show, Welcome to Derry. Victoria Bidwell as Beatrice. Beatrice is the friend, right? Who's her friend? Jody's her friend.
Jody's her friend.
Right. Who's Beatrice?
Hold on. Oh, Beatrice is her other friend that they meet at the dinner party. That she meets with the couples meet, and that just turns out that's dating Harrison Ford's friend.
Yes, okay. She's an Alien versus Predator Requiem and Comforting Skin. Diane Scarwood as Jody, which is her friend. She was nominated for an Oscar for Inside Moves, and she also won Silkwood. Amber Valletta as Madison Elizabeth Frank. You kind of only see her. She is the Butler alluded to the college student that Norman has an affair with the year prior to one of the events of this film. And obviously she is, passed away in the movie. She's in Hitch, Transporter 2, and Gamer. And then Joe Morton is in there for like a couple minutes as her psychiatrist or psychologist or therapist. Dr. Drayton, obviously from Terminator 2.
I don't
Speed.
know how much longer I can hold this.
See, he says he thinks that, which is fine. I think that too. But I always think of the line in Speed where it's like, everyone's fired. Everyone's fucking fired. when you realize that the highway's running out. Yeah, I always remember that line.
The highway's out.
Joe, Mr. Morton, you obviously have memorable lines. So anyways. Okay, so you kind of got the hint that Mike is not a huge fan of this film. And I think Mike believes that I love this film.
Yeah.
I enjoy a lot.
Defends it greatly for something he doesn't love.
there are a lot of things in this film that I do really like. I do really appreciate a lot of stuff in this film. And yes, probably some of it's filmmaking. Some of it is homage stuff to Hitchcock. This is clearly Robert Zemeckis doing Hitchcock. There's even the music at the end of the film. There's even kind of allusions to like when she's peering through the binoculars at the neighbors. It's clearly Rear Window.
Mm-hmm.
So there are a lot of Hitchcockian references in this film. The lead is blonde. The whole thing with the water, all that stuff. So I think I appreciate that, but I mean, there is stuff in there that I can't argue about because I probably agree with you on certain things. So why don't you kick us off, Butler?
I mean,
you're clearly looking for a fight.
I'm not looking for a fight, but I did come to defend myself because I figured I thought you loved this film and you were going to come at me, and I'm here. I'm ready to defend my position. But
so you want me to start coming off and stuff, or you? I want you to tell me what you don't like about this film, and then I will tell, and we can go like whether I agree with you or whether I can counter, whatever.
Okay,
here we go.
Oh man, I don't know where to start. I don't like the homage part because I think it's such an over the top homage. It is the exact reason I don't like
all of it total or just certain
things.
Okay.
That it's very similar to how like I don't like Interstellar because Interstellar's, and I know everybody loves Interstellar. And we talked about this 4 or 5 episodes ago, how Interstellar is an homage to the point where that's all it is. It is no longer its own film. It's no longer unique. It's no longer original. It's just an homage to films that did everything better, and you're just poking at it. And I think that's a lot of what this does. And I think that's what causes a lot of the plot holes because they're more interested in creating these homage bits, which yes, the filmmaking is good. The acting is good, but they're more interested in the homage than trying to figure out this mystery and put together this captivating mystery, which is what Hitchcock did best. And they're just not getting there. And it's like the directing is good. It's Zemeckis. He's great. And it's Harrison Ford, like my childhood hero. I know he's your childhood hero. And Michelle Pfeiffer is very good in this movie. But overall, the story and the plot holes and the contrivances, I just can't get past these plot points and stuff in the movie that I just don't they're just, some of it's just stupid character decisions. Some of it's just kind of like, did they not think about the logic behind certain things that are happening? And I just can't get behind that. And I also find that the 2 hour and 10 minute runtime is far too long for a mystery that you figure out pretty much right away, especially if you're watching it the second time. I think the movie falls even more flat, having knowing the twist, even from the start. So I also don't enjoy Harrison's characters. Oh God, I'm so bad with
names.
Norman. I mean, he's named after Norman Bates. I get it. I know. I'm that bad with names. But like Norman's like, not the fact that he turned, because you get that like halfway through the movie, but the fact that he turns into such an evil, vile person that just is such, to a ridiculous degree, some of the lines he has at the end are just like, really, buddy, come on. And so like, that's the stuff that I didn't like back when I watched it the first time when I was 14, 13. And I still don't like today. Like I thought I hoped, because I assumed you loved it. So I was like, well, maybe it's going to be a weird episode, where it turns out I was wrong. And I just had pretty much the same opinions this time as I did back then.
All right. I asked you to start off with 1.
Well, I gave you a bunch,
like 8.
Yeah, because I gave you a bunch of jumping off points.
I got to reply to all 8 now?
No, but we can go from there.
All right. So you don't like the overall homages to Hitchcock because you think that it's not an homage. He's just ripping them off and it's just a Hitchcock film. Kind of like Steven Spielberg doing Stanley Kubrick for AI. Like that kind of thing.
Yeah, but when he did AI,
you said Interstellar.
I said Interstellar. I know you're doing AI, but in AI, he did it because Kubrick was supposed to do that movie.
Right, but so the knock on that film was that, oh, it's just Spielberg doing Kubrick. And then the big argument against that is the fact that the flesh fair isn't Kubrick's idea. It was Spielberg's idea in that film. Okay, so we're way off now.
Also, he was doing it for Kubrick because he passed away.
Right. No, so I get that. That's why he was doing it. Yeah. But you don't like the homages, so you're not a fan of the music?
No, I love the music.
Okay, you're not a fan of some of the shots?
I love the shots.
Okay, you're not a fan of the Rear Window reference, that kind of thing?
It's not those bits like, oh, I want to honor this shot. It's the fact that I feel like those homages were like their focus over the story.
All right, well,
that's kind of where I'm at. It's like
you're saying that Zemeckis I like the music. I like more
on trying to make an
visuals,
homage.
right.
Yes.
My
Didn't care
argu-
about what
but-
the story would
But
be.
my argument to that is Zemeckis is I think Zemeckis is a more visual filmmaker, albeit he uses CGI a lot in a lot of his other films.
Sure.
I wouldn't say Zemeckis is a filmmaker that is the written word is where I think his strong suit is, because I know he got nominated for writing for Back to the Future, but that's Bob Gale too, so it's not
Right.
just Zemeckis.
Well, in this, he doesn't have a writing credit. It's all
no,
Clark
I know
Gregg
that, but
and
I'm saying
Susan.
like his visuals. I think he's already bringing his visual storytelling to this movie.
Mhm.
Like the one shot that I always think of is the shot when she at the end when she's running away and she gets into the car and she's got the keys for the wrong car. And you see her in the side view mirror. She gets out, she shuts the door, and you see her running back in the side view to the truck. Like,
right.
I like that shot, like stuff like that. The shot when she sees her reflection in the water, that's obviously a CGI shot. When she sees her reflection in the tub, when she looks
in the tub
over,
one. Yeah.
when she sees her reflection in the mirror, when they do a lot of mirror stuff, like that kind of stuff.
Yeah. I like the body in the water.
Yeah, when
That's probably real, but I like how they got it to like just show up. I thought that was a cool shot.
I understand. Like so that kind of stuff is somewhat Hitchcockian, but I also think it's a little bit Zemeckis as well.
Mhm.
So I don't have a problem with the homages. I mean, I can understand if you had them straight lifting the music at the end. I mean, that's
they kind of do straight lift it.
It's completely
Yeah.
taken from it. But speaking of the score, the whole kind of What Lies Beneath score, why does it sound like The Usual Suspects? Does that sound like The Usual Suspects to you a little bit? Like that score, the John Ottman stuff?
I mean, before they get to the end, where the end is pure Hitchcock.
Especially in the opening.
Yeah, a little bit. But like
That one where like like that kind of.
But they also use it a bunch. I feel like it was
a
used
terrible score rendition.
They use it a bunch in trailers after this. I know, to like
Maybe
overlay.
that's what I'm thinking.
And I think it just gets used a bunch.
Maybe it's in the because
Usual Suspect would have been before that.
Yeah, you're right. What am I thinking? I don't know why. Maybe it's influenced by it, but anyways.
Sure.
So I guess that deals with the homages a little bit. What was the other part you didn't like? The plot contrivances?
Yeah.
Okay. So give me one example where you were like, this is ridiculous.
The fact that this man, that Norman is a brilliant geneticist.
Who's making, what is he doing?
He's making a new type of anesthetic for
Gotcha.
surgeries. And yet he's keeping all the evidence of his murders around the same lake house in which he lives. He didn't destroy the evidence. The evidence still exists that he buried this box at the bottom of a lake. He's got this key that's in the freaking picture frame. There's an article about the missing girl behind a photo that he owns. Like, it's just so much stuff. It's just like, why do you own all this stuff that's going to point you to these murders? I don't understand. It just that
Hubris? I get you.
But he's not if he was a Dexter type serial killer, if he was Mr. Brooks,
Sure.
okay, hubris, come get me. But he's not.
He's an intellectual. I'm only just tossing this out.
Sure.
I'm not disagreeing with you, but he's an intellectual. He just thinks he doesn't like the whole picture is like a picture from that year ago. So it's just the story is running concurrently when he got his reward, throwing the box off throwing the box off the pier. Yeah, I don't know why you do that. I mean, the way he describes what he basically says that he tells us when he kind of like he's like peeling an onion, like he's telling little bits, but he's telling like little truths. He says he comes home and Madison had killed herself in their house. So he like, I didn't know what to do. So I put her in the car and I wheeled her in, which is probably the truth, but really he drowned
killed her first. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know why you toss that off your pier. I don't know why you just don't.
Especially after you mentioned that she left a letter for her. He mentioned he happened to burn that, but
don't burn the whole case. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I get that. That's not, I can't argue that because that doesn't really make a lot of, it's just, it's there so that you can find it. And then like, even when she jumps down into the water, it's like she's being propelled, like she,
the braid is guiding her to the thing.
Yeah,
I do like that stuff.
Okay. What else? What other plot stuff you don't like?
All right. The ghost can touch stuff, right? The ghost typing on keyboards, typing on keys. The ghost knocking on anybody.
The ghost stuff is very
convenient to whatever.
Not convenient, but yeah, like we don't know what are the rules are.
Yeah.
I forgot about the whole possession thing.
Yeah.
I forgot that she had the braid and then she possessed her, and I was like, I really thought like you could do more with this. Like if that's the story, then that should be what is happening. Like there's like you
correct.
Said, really, it's kind of. It's just kind of like, oh, and then this, oh, then this, oh, then this. Okay, well, what is it? Like, pick something that we can lock onto and can escalate. Like, even if like to the point, like maybe Madison keeps inhabiting her body, and it gets to the point where she lets her inhabit the body so that she lets her kill Norman. Like
That's
that kind of thing.
exactly.
Like,
Yeah.
like it's got to go somewhere. It just seems like it's like, and then this happens. Oh, and then this cool thing happens. And this. So yeah, no, it's very all over the place in terms of what the ghost does, what the ghost can do throughout the film. Yeah, exactly.
Right.
What else?
How about that the movie is too long? Do you not think the movie is too long? Because I
will say, yeah.
Remember the first time I watched it, about halfway through, I'm like, okay.
One of my notes is, I know we're setting up the film, but it does feel like we're meandering here. And I think a lot of that has to do with the neighbors. You brought the neighbors in, you have this whole thing where she's trying to figure out what's going on with the neighbors, and she's crying and all that stuff. And then they go away and they disappear. And it's almost like that needs to come back, because the neighbors almost need to be your savior and your salvations. People that you were, what's going on? What's wrong with that family? What they're fighting all the time. Like, they need to come back and be the ones that save your life, or they need to be like, stop Norman.
Correct.
Or whatever. Witness Norman chasing you. If we're setting up Norman as somebody who is able to, it's a sociopath and able to hide himself. This is a movie I'm writing. Able to hide himself from other people. Like,
sure.
They need to witness that. So the neighbors need to come back, because that's a good chunk of the film, and then they just go away. So I think that's part of it. I think that's part of the kind of length of the film. I think it does meander a bit, and maybe they just couldn't find it in the writing. They couldn't find it. They're trying to set everything up and be creepy and spooky and stuff like that.
Well, I just also feel like by the time you're hitting an hour in, you kind of already get the fact that, all right, Norman probably killed her and he's hiding the body, but we're going to still investigate for another 25 minutes and then spend 35 minutes where she knows he killed her, and like really drag out I don't even know his tension at that point, really drag out call the cops, they're coming. Where is he in the shower? Getting knocked out, getting put in the bathtub, avoiding him when he's down the stairs, trying to figure out where he is. I didn't find a lot of that. Some of it was good, but I didn't find all of it very suspenseful. Like, it could have been cut to be more concise, a little bit more suspenseful toward the end. And I really feel like you could figure out that he's the murderer a little quicker, and then also shave down that final confrontation between the two of them, where it's not quite so. I know you got to get them to the beach house, or the beach, the boathouse, but it could just, I feel like it could be toned down a little bit.
You mean get them to where he dumped Madison?
Get him to where he dumped Madison.
The side of the road. Yeah. Like I said, I think you can't, the neighbors are a misdirection that goes nowhere, and it's just to misdirect the entire film. But like I said, they need to come back at some point. Even though, because I think if you do that, let's say you get rid of the neighbors, I kind of want to see the car accident in the beginning of the film. I don't need to see all of it, but it comes up like later on in the movie, and you're like, oh, what happened? She had an accident.
Yeah, it's tough to kind of trace back to go, oh yeah, she did look at that article about an accident.
You look at the part of the accident, then we realize that, you pick up on it when Caitlin calls Norman by the daughter calls Norman by his first name, so that's not his daughter.
Yeah, which is that necessary?
Well, because then they kind of have that whole thing where like she was a musician and he like loved her, and Norman came in and took her away from everything and took her up to Vermont, and that's we learned that offhand 45 an hour into the movie.
Yeah.
And you're not in, see, the problem is you're not in setting mode. You're
in story mode. Yeah.
Right. So those bits need to be like twists and turns that propel the story to reveal stuff that you thought to be true earlier in the movie. There's none of whatever you thought to be true earlier in the movie. So when these come up, you're like, what? Oh, okay. So Norman is controlling now. Like, you don't get that. There's no buildup to where he's secretly controlling.
Yeah.
They don't really they just say it. So yeah, again, yes, I agree there.
Yeah.
I actually do like the turn. I like Harrison Ford being evil. Number one, because he's never been evil before.
Oh, I'm cool with him being that's not completely true. He was the bad guy in the conversation.
That doesn't count. Okay. That does not, and you got that note off the fact.
I forgot it.
That does not count.
I don't mind him being the villain of the movie. I just think it's not his turn like, oh, he's the killer. I get he's the killer, but halfway through, it's that this might sound bad, but your death is going to bring me closer to
I
our
like
daughter."
that. I like that.
And then he kisses her. It's like,
Yeah.
goodbye. And he's like so
Well, that's so
out there. He becomes such a super villain.
Listen, the kiss is so he can find the necklace, so that when he pulls the necklace and he pulls her back,
Sure.
that's where that's from.
It's a contrivance. Yes.
But I like the fact that he's just sitting there, like on the tub. He's like, "Oh, Claire," and the dog comes up, and he's like, "Come on,
Hey,
Coop. What's that?" My note is like, "Do something, Cooper, you stupid dog."
Cooper doesn't come back again.
Cooper disappears.
Yeah, Cooper's just like, oh, Cooper doesn't matter in the story now. We don't need Cooper.
But I like the Harrison Ford just because it's so nonchalant and casual, and you're like, "Oh man, this guy's I liked it. I didn't mind it. It didn't bother me too much.
I don't know. Because he seems so sincere about wanting to keep his wife to begin with in the other scenes.
Well,
and
yeah,
then,
but
now
if you think of him as a sociopath, as somebody who can live in a society and hide who he is, I mean, yes, I can.
Sure, but then I want to know that that's not his only murder then or something. Like,
Okay.
I just,
Well,
maybe he killed his, then I want to know he killed his dad because he's so
No.
jealous of his dad.
or he killed her husband. Like maybe.
He's
like,
jealous? Yes.
Like that stuff.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, that's fine. That would help shape his character.
Then yes, okay, he's a sociopath. He's definitely a sociopath.
Yeah. Maybe this feels like this film was written backwards. Like this film was written. This is how it's gonna. This is a big final confrontation. How do we fill this all in? That's kind of like
How do we
it
backtrack?
feels that this movie feels like how it was written, or how it was written on the screen.
It started with her
I don't
finding the
wanna lay it
box.
at the feet of screenwriters. I want to, I want to say like the finished product. That's how we got here. It kind of went moving backwards. We do have a fourth finger though. You notice?
Oh
that?
no! When does he
Yes.
give?
So there was a moment in the movie where they were arguing, and I was like, "Give her the fourth finger," and he doesn't. But then when they're fighting, when she learns about the affair, and he's like, and they're fighting, and he was like, "You did this, you pushed me away." He gave her the
Oh
fourth
yeah,
finger.
you were pushing. Yep.
Yeah, and I'm like, "Oh, there it is." So yeah, the fourth finger does show up in this film. Just so that you want to have that in there.
He does some good acting in this movie. He does get the
He's
kind of
underrated as an actor. I think people
Sure.
don't realize that. I've told you to watch The Shrinking show.
yeah.
Yeah, The Shrinking on Apple TV. He doesn't get a lot of credit because it's in big films. I get it. you
Yeah.
know. And I think I've made the case. I don't know if I made a case on the show, but I've made a case for like he needs to be in something where he's like the patriarch, kind of like Craig T. Nelson in Family Stone. Like he needs a movie like that where he's just he's the dad and he's like, he got a big family and he's too old now, but he's the grandfather and he's got a big family, but like something like where he can just be. He doesn't have to, fight anybody. He doesn't have to beat Nazis up and stuff like that,
Because when he's like or he's acting like he's on his wit's end, and he's like, just tell me what you need. Tell me what you want me to do, and I'll do it.
When
he's mad but also concerned, and he doesn't know how to deal with the situation.
So when he's flipping out about the affair, when she says like she finally remembers the affair, and he starts kind of like, oh, I don't like we're in a bad place, like he's getting upset. That was really good, but that brings me to my next point.
Okay.
Which is, why does she have amnesia? Like, why? Like, that's why I want to see the accident. What is this idea that she doesn't know what's happening? Because she was at the party and she got upset because she discovered that they were together in the affair. Gets in the car, drives off, is upset, gets into an accident, and then she forgets. So I need to that's never really gone into. And I don't and like, even when she remembers it, it's not this big reveal or remembrance for her. It's like just, oh yeah, you had an affair. No, like it wasn't like emotions flood back. There's none of that.
Well, it's also put in a weird, because now you're focused on, wait, so now she can become a ghost? Or now the ghost can predict. So you're already processing that. Well, then she's processing this past that you don't care about or didn't know about before. So it's just like, oh wait, I was hung up on the ghost thing. What? So she was in what? An accident?
Yeah.
It's just kind of like confusing. Yeah.
That's why I say, like, why does she forget about the incident? And when she remembers it, why isn't it traumatic enough? Like, why is it not crippling for her to just suddenly have this memory from a year ago where you discovered your husband was cheated on you,
right,
and had this accident? Because then I think at that point, then you would realize that that girl's missing. You saw her, right? You noticed her. You saw her.
Did she not already? She was already asking about that girl though. At that point.
But that's what I'm saying. Like,
sure
how do you not put two
missing.
and two together? Yeah, I don't know. I'm just.
How do you not put two and two together that he killed her? Yeah.
Yeah.
Just believe his lies. Because then he's like, oh, she disappeared.
But of course, you also have the moment where she goes to go get the box down in the water. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, okay, where she has to go at night. and she has to go in Norman's home. Norman's going to go to school, going to go to work. You couldn't wait. You had to do it at night. You had to do it when he could find you, which he does. And then you have that whole thing. So it's like, again, that's for plot purposes, maybe.
Yep.
Yeah, I didn't get that.
And the friend didn't say like, I don't buy Jody being like,
I didn't tell you.
Yes. I didn't tell you because he was so distraught. And it's like,
you're not that
whose
good
friend
of
are you?
You're not that good of a friend then. Yeah, no, you're not that good of a friend. You would have absolutely told your friend.
Yeah, you're a bad friend. This person your friend got into a wreck and lost her memory because of this.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Come on.
What did you think of the tub sequence when she's when he gets knocked out and she's in the tub and she has to kind of drain the tub?
I don't like it.
Really? Why?
I love him getting knocked out. Cause it's like, oh,
yeah.
That's a good shot. But her like waiting to get like wiggle her toes and stuff. It's like, one, he's been working on this serum for years. This is as fast as it works.
Maybe he's not that good.
Yeah, you kind of suck, Norman. And
well,
second,
she's also not a rat, so he might not have given her enough of a dosage for a human.
Sure, it hasn't gone to human trials, and then but also, again, this ghost can touch things. This ghost can move things. She's putting her life on the line. Help the ghost. The ghost drags him down at the end. Ghost couldn't type it on the keyboard. Ghost can't turn water off.
I don't know. Well, the ghost only works when she holds the braid.
No, because when she's not holding the braid, the ghost is already typing MWF, 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 MEF, all over the TV.
Yeah, I don't know.
So it's just okay.
So you don't like that scene because of that. You don't know the rules.
There's no rules, so it's just kind of like help her out, ghost. I also think it's a little too long.
See, I like the sound. I like the playing.
The use of the sound is nice.
I like the sequence, just what they're playing there with, and the visuals, their foot's coming out of the water, that kind of stuff.
Him getting knocked out is awesome.
When he hits his head in
he hits his head in the sink, it's like, oh wow.
Yeah. Again, he's underrated.
But also when she's scared, she doesn't know where he is, and she's like looking around with the glass in his hand. Where's Coop? Again, it's just that whole Coop thing is just like. I think that should be a jump scare right there. She thinks it's going to be him, and it's Coop. She's like, oh, and Coop goes like lies on the bed or something. Why isn't Coop licking up the blood when Norman's on the floor all knocked out, being like, hey, wake up, Dad.
He let Coop out, right?
He said, let's go get your ball.
But I would assume he put him out.
Okay,
outside,
all right.
This is a nitpick, but like when she grabs the glass, the shard, she holds it. Why is that not cutting her? Like, that's sharp. But anyways, that's a nitpick. Did you notice the split diopter shot?
I did when he wakes up. Yeah. She's leaving the door and his eyeballs are,
split diopter. The only thing with that is they do that sequence, the eyeball sequence, several times in the movie. He's sleeping, he's awake. Yep. She's sleeping, she's awake. I mean, you can't. Okay, but you can't keep doing it.
Well, they also do, which I think is a cool shot. They do the glass floor trick a couple times.
So I love the way that was described. Do you want to describe it, or do you want me to do that?
Well, so they have.
So she's laying on the ground.
She's laying on the ground.
Being drugged,
and the camera flips down and goes from a perspective on the floor.
Right. She's face down.
The floor. She's face down as Norman talks, and the camera comes down around, rotates, and looks straight up at her as if the floor is glass, because the floor is glass. And then they CG'd in the real floor.
They digitally drew in the floor in the first shot. But yeah, I thought that was an awesome shot.
And then
that shot.
Does it again when she drops her keys. They drop down onto the glass floor as well.
Yeah.
So those are really cool shots.
Yeah, I like that. Like that's little stuff that I think if the other stuff that we were talking about was any better, we would probably be really like lauding this film as, oh, I love that, I love this. I still think there's really cool shots in this.
The look of the movie is really cool.
I think that the biggest issues are script and motivation, character, and just decision making. I think even back then, I probably was really into how this movie was shot more so than anything. And that's obviously because I'm a filmmaker. I like the whole idea of filmmaking. So, that's probably why I love a lot of this. I mean, I've already sat here and said, I understand your issues with all the stuff we talked about, but I would still put this movie in because I like the way it looks. I like the way it's shot, with the exception of the snowy graveyard scene at the end, which felt like I was in a Tim Burton film.
It definitely feels like added in.
And it was like, yeah, why? No reason for that. You could have just put her on her back porch and she's just looking out at the water.
I feel like you could just end it with
bring the daughter back or something.
I feel like you just end it with the darkness in the lake. It's done. The story was about figuring out the missing person.
The fact that she is mourning the woman rather than her husband. Honestly, but honestly, you could just end it where she still has the braid. You could end it where she's on her back porch playing her cello, and she has something from whatever she's got
the braid or something, or the
stuff
braid
like that.
tied
Like
to the
you could have just
cello.
done that. Like that's just you didn't need the whole Tim Burton-esque looking Guillermo del Toro edited, like, you know, just kind of like it's
The
like you're not
face
there.
hidden
You're
in
not.
the
You're on
snow.
a giant green screen. Like that just felt phony, real phony.
Oh, it's probably a test audience thing. Like test audience didn't like it just ending. All right, we'll throw this in.
So I guess I want to get to some facts a little bit here, but this fact has nothing to do with this film. Did you know that Harrison Ford was the original choice to play Eddie Valiant in
I did.
Who Framed Roger Rabbit? I don't like that choice at all.
Neither did he.
Well, his price was too high.
Yeah.
But that's no. Boo.
There were a
Boo.
lot of choices before what's his face did it. Bob Hoskins did it. There were a lot of bigger. Robert De Niro was considered. There were a lot of bigger actors considered for that.
So I said that this film, we talked about this film. It did, what did I say it did, Butler? I said it did
290, almost
291.
Almost made 3 times its budget.
It was the 10th highest grossing film of the year 2000.
So Harrison Ford had major power.
Okay. Can you name the other 9?
The other 9 of 2000.
Can you get to, you know what, wait, what number 1 was number 2 of 2000 was?
2000?
It's a sequel and it's an action film.
Rush Hour 2.
No.
Lethal Weapon 4.
No. Mission Impossible 2 was the number 1 grossing film. So I'll just give it to you.
Well, one was going to be X-Men.
X-Men was number 8.
At number 8?
Number 9.
Wow, okay.
Yeah, number 9.
I thought it'd be bigger than that.
No, 296 million, number 9. So Mission Impossible was 1. Mission Impossible 2 was number 1.
Right.
Gladiator was number 2. Castaway, What Women Want, Dinosaur, How the Grinch Stole Christmas, Meet the Parents, The Perfect Storm, and The Next Men. And then What Lies Beneath.
Those are some big films. I don't like The Perfect Storm.
I'm surprised. Yeah. Well, you know why? The Perfect Storm is because the book was so popular.
Sure.
And
Yeah.
that's why I watched the film, and because the book was just so popular, I wanted to see the movie. And the movie's not. It's not great. It's okay.
I'm not.
I'm just shocked at What Women Want is like number 4.
Got that Mel Gibson star power.
Star power indeed.
Romantic
I know
comedy.
not
Bring your date
anymore.
there. I forgot Gladiators 2000. I always think Gladiators 2001 for some reason.
So in the original script, according to Clark Gregg, the Ouija board scene, when they do the whole Ouija thing, Jodie is, I guess Jodie's supposed to run out screaming after the seance because it gets a little out of hand or whatever.
Because it gets more haunted.
Right.
Yeah.
But they changed it in order to emphasize how much Claire thinks she's losing her mind. So they kind of, I guess, went a different way with that scene.
Yeah. I could take or leave it either way because the very next scene she gets possessed by the ghost. So it doesn't really.
Yeah.
Like you're not really playing with that. Is the ghost real or not?
Yeah.
You know the ghost is real, like pretty much from the start.
And I mean, it bears noting because we talked about this. I think we talked about this when we did the selection, right? I can't remember when we talked about this. This movie was shot in between Castaway.
You did talk about it during the selection.
Yeah.
Yep.
So Zemeckis was shooting Castaway. They shot the first part and then they stopped so that Hanks could grow his beard and lose the weight so that when they come back to him in the movie Castaway, he's obviously thinned out and because he's been on the island for so long. They shot this in the middle of that, then went back to that, which I think is a really cool note. But, you know, I have to mention that. Because
and then Zemeckis got 2 top 10 hits out of it.
He did. Absolutely. So he was hot. I mean, he hasn't done anything. The last movie he did.
He's got another Tom Hanks movie coming out.
Well,
that looks like it's got like a.
Because he has not done a lot.
History or what's it called? It's got a really weird plot synopsis. Like I can't tell if it's sci-fi or just family movie. It's clearly like a family movie. He's also got a huge Hawaiian movie with Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, if that ever gets created, but it's been in development for forever. Oh my God. It's called Here. It's supposed to come out this year. It's already PG-13. It's already got a rating. From the reunited director, writer, and stars of Forrest Gump, Here is an original film about multiple families in a special place they inhabit. The story travels through generations, capturing the human experience in purest form.
CGI.
Maybe. Tom Hanks, Kelly Riley, Paul Bettany.
A lot of CGI in that
Robin
one,
Wright.
Sure. Did you like the scene? Did you like the scene when they're having the conversation in the car through the rearview mirror and the makeup mirror? It's digital. It's clearly digital. But did you like that? A lot of the car shots are digital. When they're going to the dinner, they're going to.
Oh, yeah, it's all right.
Yeah. And all their car shots are digital. Like they're
Clearly,
not. Like,
they're not really
that
there.
was just like.
Well, they really put Harrison Ford in the back of a pickup truck going down a hill.
Oh, when he punched. Yeah,
He's
no.
punching through the glass.
I know. That cell phone super old. When I had that cell phone pop up.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
Ooh, I never had that
roaming.
phone. Maybe I had a Kyocera, but I never had that phone. The steam that's coming out of the bathroom. Some of that's digital, right?
Gotta be.
Okay. All right. Let me get to some reviews.
I have some reviews as well, but you
Oh,
actually
go.
might have some negative reviews,
Go
so I'm
for
okay
it.
with it.
Go for it.
Because I came ready. I came ready in case you came at me.
Oh my God.
You said you were gonna come at me, so I was like, I
say a
gotta
lot
get
of
ready.
things. I say a lot of things.
So Ebert, your boy Ebert, although he's been hating everything we've done lately.
He was hating.
What Lies Beneath opens with an hour or so of standard thriller scare tactics done effectively, and then plops into a morass of absurdity. Lacking a
Yes.
smarter screenplay, it milks the genuine skills of its actors and director for more than it deserves, and then runs off the rails in an ending more laughable than scary.
I don't think it's laughable. I think it doesn't. See, I think the less like if you just take the scene from her saying the scene from her saying accusing him of the affair, right? Like, oh, you had the affair. No, I didn't. And then like
Right
that-
after the your wife, like that
just
scene.
that scene. Just
So when
that
she remembers
scene.
the crash.
Yes, not
Okay.
not the possession stuff. If you take it from that scene on, it's like a decent 20 to 30 minute short film. Like I think there's that the chunk from that stuff to the end when you find out who he is, I think is not off the rails. It's off the rails when you compare it to the rest of the film, of course. But I think that's why I sit here and say like I like pieces of it and parts of it, because I think there's parts that work. They just unfortunately they don't work together.
There's like an hour after that though.
No, because
You're talking right after she's like, I think
I know
started
you took the
your
affair.
wife.
And she leaves and he pretends to fall into the shower. She comes back. And then that kicks off the last 30 minutes of the film. Am I remembering that
You're
wrong?
remembering wrong.
What happens after the scene when she says you killed you had
So
the
after
affair?
after she remembers, they do go to the separate ones, and she comes back home, finds him in the thing.
Right.
They have another conversation.
Right.
I hope you can put this behind us. She tries to go into the lake. She falls into the lake. He grabs her, says, "I believe you now." They burn the braid. Then she's playing the cello the next day. He says, "I hope you can forgive me." They go out on the boat. He says
Yep.
he's never been to Adamant, which is
yep.
stupid because why would he say yes either way?
He said he hadn't been there.
He said he hadn't been there, but why would he say yes? Yes, I went with my secret girlfriend.
Sure.
You're already trying to get past that. He wouldn't tell you yes, just
Right.
not to upset you. So then he says that. Then she goes to Adamant herself.
Yeah.
And then she comes back.
Yeah.
And then after that,
You're explaining the end of the movie.
but there's a whole hour.
Okay,
That's a whole
45
hour.
minutes.
That's
No.
an hour, man.
Okay, so if all I'm telling you is that there's beats in that entire section that work for me. Unfortunately,
Sure, there's beats, but there's still a lot of filler in that section.
I don't have a problem with a lot of that stuff because I mean, yes, in comparison to what we already saw, yes, it doesn't fit. But I'm saying to you that where in that stuff, I just don't have the issue that you have. I guess maybe that's what I'm saying.
Okay.
I think it's
Me and Roger Ebert.
I don't give a shit. Okay, Roger Ebert wrote Valley of the Dolls. Go watch that.
Look at you
Not
getting
great.
Look at you getting all
So-
feisty
no,
now.
because I'm just saying because it's not great. So I think that we talked about certain scenes at the end of the thing when he gets scared, he knocks himself, like all that stuff leading up to it.
I don't agree with it being laughable either.
That's what I'm saying. I don't think any of that's laughable.
Yeah, I don't think this is a very good movie, but I don't think any of it's laughable.
I laughed when James Remar pretended to choke his wife.
Oh, that's an improv too,
That's
yeah.
the last time we saw them.
because he really did kill her right after that. Focus on
That
that
would've been
family,
great.
but he really
Hey, you
isn't
killed your
really-
wife too. So did I. Oh, good time. Good time.
I like that he says I didn't kill my wife right in front of Harrison Ford.
Oh, I know that was.
I didn't kill my wife.
I know.
And it's like, oh, you said the thing.
Los Angeles Times called it spooky with a polished kind of creepiness added in. What Lies Beneath nevertheless feels more planned than passionate, scary at points, but unconvincing overall. Which I think is what I'm saying.
Sure,
No, give me a sure.
I agree with that.
Yeah.
Sure, that seems to fit your point.
Give me another one.
Here's Ed Gonzalez, but it's a long. I want to try to get like a Robert Zemeckis shot What Lies Beneath while waiting for Tom Hanks to lose excess body fat between the first and second round shoots of a remarkably understated Castaway.
Just said.
Despite a suspenseful jolt or two, this cornball Hitchcock riff is anything but subtle.
See, I don't think cornball, and I don't think it's cheesy or cornballish or
What Lies Beneath has been
laughable.
seemingly pierced together from similar such overwrought tricks of the camera. To her credit, Pfeiffer keeps her cool despite the film's punishing artificiality. But yeah, I don't agree with the laughableness, but I think a lot of the other stuff is.
Listen,
There's a whole stretch.
here's my thing. Like Michelle Pfeiffer and Harrison Ford are too good actors that are not going to be doing bad stuff on screen. You know what I mean? Like, even if the dialogue is not great, they're going to make it great. So I don't think that they're not the problem in the film. I think what we talked about before is what we think kind of like doesn't work for us. But I don't think it's because of them. And I think that they're acting in these scenes, especially at the end. I don't think you can dismiss it as whatever cornballish or laughable, as Ebert says. I think there's a lot going on there that they're doing that works. I think if you just looked at them two together and the husband and wife at odds in the most immense way, because obviously he had an affair and he murdered the girl, and you know, I think what they're doing together works. Michelle Pfeiffer is, I mean, I'm not saying anything anyone should know already. A great actress.
Yeah, well, no,
You know what I
these
mean?
two reviews aren't saying they're not good.
No, but
they're saying the movie's a cornball Hitchcock riff. They said, to her credit, Pfeiffer keeps her cool. They're saying the actors are good.
I just think we're tossing out lines here, tossing out words to try to be like we talk about how critics like to toss out stuff to kind of.
Sure.
Yeah. Okay. Well, why are we saying this is forgotten? Why are you saying it's forgotten? Because it's bad. It's terrible. It's not good.
It's not great. It's.
Do you think that the fact that Ford is the bad guy is a reason why people? Well, I mean, even though it was a 10th high school,
it did a ton of money.
But do you think Ford as the bad guy kind of has people not really go back to it?
I'm sure that's part of it. Nobody wants to see their hero be the villain.
Yes, we do.
I think that also it's a Hitchcock homage. Just go watch. I think people who like that would rather just go watch Hitchcock.
But how about modern cinema lovers, people that don't watch films past 1990 because they think that's too old, like that, like you need like a refresh.
Sure,
stuff. The next Hitchcock,
this movie's
Spielberg,
this movie's too old.
Like
then this movie's too old for that. The people that would have watched this back then would have still kind of probably watched some Hitchcock stuff because it would have been on TV. Mm-hmm. Nowadays, people love Interstellar because yes, even though it's another movie that's very much a complete rip, yeah. Because I like movies and I go back to those movies. People who don't are gonna be like, Interstellar is so original and it's so great and it's so this or that, because they don't go back and watch the things that he's just ripping off with no creative or original thought.
Original anymore? Is anything original?
More original than being like, my movie's an homage. It gives people carte blanche to just rip things off and not really care about the story behind it or putting your touch on it at all, because it's an homage. So I can rip it off. Because we talk about Super 8 being an homage to Spielberg, but like Super 8 does it in a way that it's still kind of its own film.
It is, but also I think you can't.
It helps to have Spielberg
he's
behind it though too.
Yeah,
it helps to have
set.
that. And you can't
really
have Hitchcock
really
on set to the other one. Yeah,
you're not really. He's kind of has that influence you on already.
Exactly,
So,
but like some of the other ones just seem like they don't care quite as much about the story as much as getting that homage in there, getting that one piece in there that's just like that.
I mean, we're all influenced by what came before us, and what lies beneath. So I think that's inevitable. I don't like the only time I ever took umbrage with this type of stuff is when Gus Van Sant did the shot for shot remake for Psycho. But I understand that he was doing something for a certain reason. Sure. Ulterior motives for why he was doing that. I just like that was like, why bother? When it first came out. So I haven't seen Interstellar in forever, so I'd have to go back and to really kind of like understand. I understand what you're saying because I just haven't seen it. I remember the scene where they're driving in the car, and that's about it. And obviously the little robot thing.
I only saw it the one time too, but I came out very unimpressed.
That's fine.
You know it does an homage really well and creates its own thing? Indiana Jones.
Well, that's because they're based on serials. Yeah,
sure.
No, I get it. I get that.
But that's an homage where they take these pieces, but they build their own.
And quite honestly,
universe around.
Why haven't we had more of those? Like, where's our next serialized? Like an Indiana Jones. Why is it? I will be like we've talked. I don't want to get into ad nauseum about world building, but we've talked about it before. World building is great, but like it's it's actually pretty cool when you just have chaptered stuff, like volume stuff, like Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade, Indiana Jones and the Temple. Like you pop in, you see him, you pop out. Like
Sure.
there's that's okay to do as well.
I think it's very hard to do as well.
I think it's very hard for some people to do.
I think it's hard to do well.
Listen, give me a call because I will do it for you, and I've already got stuff that's already been done. So let's go. I've already got books and scripts and all that stuff. Anyways, who are you recommending this to? Nobody, because it stinks.
I mean, yeah, I mean,
Oh, come on.
no, if you really want to watch like Hitchcock stuff, then watch this. It's a good homage. It's well made. So it's well, but I mean, there's issues.
You know what?
But the filmmaking
I don't want you
stuff,
to hurt yourself.
The filmmaking stuff is well made. So you could go like, if you like Hitchcock, Robert Zemeckis, who's a great filmmaker, has made this stuff. There's really cool shots in it. You know, I personally, I'm not a fan of it, but you know, there's really cool stuff in it that you'd like. Harrison Ford is really good. He plays a character you're never really going to see him as because he rarely plays this type of character. Michelle Pfeiffer is really good. And like always. it's good for couples that are like, I really like horror. I'm not a big horror person. Well, this is horror adjacent, but not really horror.
I like horror. I like thrillers.
Yeah, but like it's a thriller where it doesn't go too far into like the ghost stuff. So like if someone's like, I really want to watch a horror movie, but like my girlfriend doesn't like horror, my boyfriend doesn't like horror. Like watch this. It's close enough where I think maybe they'll get something out of it without having to be like, oh, that was a horror movie. So I think it's a good date night movie for that.
I think the best way to describe our differences here with this film is that Butler feels that What Lies Beneath is like the glass is half empty, and I feel like What Lies Beneath is the glass is half full. I think that is the best way to describe our feelings on this film. I think there's plenty of stuff in this movie that a lot of people will like, the acting, the filmmaking. I definitely think it's a movie I would suggest to somebody. I'd be like, it's not a great film, but it's good. I enjoy some of it. I would definitely recommend this film. But again, I think the best way to describe it is glass half empty, glass half full. Yeah, would you agree? What are you pointing at me? Other fourth finger. You don't have the, first of all, you don't have the gravitas to give me the fourth.
Don't you tell me.
You're not
and I don't have the gravitas.
You're not even doing it right. You're putting it right at me.
I can't reach under
this. It's up.
You don't tell me.
It's this. You switch the samples. It's that. And you have to get guttural. Come on. You can't do the fourth. Listen, we're going to have to do the commercial. We're just fourth fingering off. That's not a terrible. I can't do it like that. That's a terrible.
I'm going to make you Postmaster General if you get me off this podcast.
Listen, I love Air Force One. I hate that. I don't hate that line. I hate the moment when she's on the parachute. I love Get Off My Plane. I love that. Come on. I love that line. Anyways, we're way up.
Is that forgotten?
Air Force One? Better not be. No. Probably. We're old. So where can they find us?
You can find us on ForgottenCinemaPodcast.com or wherever you're watching or listening to this right now. Go ahead and give us a like, comment, subscribe. All that good stuff helps the podcast grow. I know I say it every episode. I know everybody says it, but it really does help. So if you could just click that button, it would be great for us. If you want to support us even more, we're on Patreon. It's free to sign up. Once you sign up, you'll get invited to our Discord where we can talk movies. You can tell me how glass half empty you are, how glass half full you are about any of our
analogy.
movies.
I think that was a good analogy.
It was a good analogy. And if you want to support us even further, you could join our Patreon tiers where you get early access to our episodes like this one and exclusive access to special episodes that we do just for you guys. So that's on patreon.com/Forgotten Cinema. You can find us right there. There's also probably links in the descriptions of wherever you're listening or watching this now as well.
And next week, we'll be doing the 2011 film Source Code, the action thriller with Jake Gyllenhaal, Michelle Monaghan, Vera Farmiga, I think I said her name wrong, and Jeffrey Wright.
You said her name right.
Is that how she says it?
Yep.
Excellent. So that's next week. Yeah, I don't even know if we're going to fight next week. I think we both like that film. So
yeah,
we'll find out. So thanks for listening, everyone. Go check out What Lies Beneath. Tell Butler he's wrong. I'm Mike Field.
I'm Mike Butler.
And this has been Forgotten Cinema. Don't switch the samples. You changed the samples, huh? You switched the samples after Lenz died.